Within a week, another bout of misfortune has struck the new monuments as the towers began oscillating in the wind.
Last night, police and local residents looked on with concern as one of the newly erected border markers twisted and swayed on its base.
If somebody gets killed out of it, it'll deserve the city, responsible.
A few city officials were at the scene to make a quick inspection last night. Today, they admitted they are also concerned.
There's certainly more movement in the towers than we'd like to see. Whether it's structurally sound or not, I think it's a concern to the public.
Brecko admits one of the towers appears unsafe, but a further investigation is needed. The tower in question is one of two that had to be refitted with a second base plate after the first plate failed to fit. But there are other concerns about wind resistance. Weather officials say last night's wind speed averaged about 40 kilometers per hour, a fairly average evening for Lloydminster. Alan Inge says he is concerned the towers may not be able to hold up under very windy conditions.
It was Wednesday or Thursday, there were 70-kilometer winds. They were a lot more than this. So, and they only put these two up Wednesday night. So it's pretty serious.
City officials are sending a videotape of the moving marker to the Edmonton construction company behind the project. Today, company officials told the city they will investigate, but they continue to stand behind the safety of all four border markers. Darcy Modine, NewsHour.
Officials examined the twisting towers and were optimistic a quick fix was all that was needed.
Less than 2 weeks ago, the southernmost border marker twisted in the 40-kilometer-an-hour winds, causing great concerns if the 100-foot towers were structurally sound. Yesterday, city officials met in Edmonton with the general contractor, the steel contractor, and engineers to determine what would be done to prevent any further problems.
There's probably 2 or 3 solutions, but the engineer was going to go back and check a few numbers just to make sure he was recommending the most appropriate one. And we did have the contractor there who said yes, it was practical to do those repairs. The base precast covers would be taken off, and a little more stabilization provided on the steel base, the webs of the towers, and then at the 1/3 points, the current 2 structures are tied together by a small piece of steel, and there'd be a larger plate installed at those points.
When it's decided what exactly will be done to rectify the problems with the border markers, work will begin on not just the southernmost tower, but on all 4 of them to dismiss any more concerns with the markers.
The contractors thought that if the drawings were amended and the welding procedures not addressed by Friday, he could be on site very shortly, and the whole project should be done within 2 weeks.
Jim Unger, NewsHour.
But a quick fix was not to be found, and soon news footage of the twisting markers were broadcast across the country, giving Lloydminster a black eye, and some residents an excuse to trash talk the town.
Well, I'm disappointed that people keep running the city down instead of trying to build it up, because I think it's a great city to live in, and I think they could do so much more if they were very positive about it. But everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and that happens to be mine.
A glimmer of vindication came in September of 1995 when the beleaguered border markers won a national award.
There was a juried exhibition of projects across Canada, and Lloydminster's border markers were awarded the national award. The landscape architects noted that this was a very prominent feature. It would certainly be worthy of a stop by individuals traveling across Western Canada to see how we have gone about and marked this unique and interesting feature in our community. You can't expect everyone to think that the border markers are the greatest ideal thing that could be developed, but certainly from the goals and objectives that were originally designed for the project, it's starting to really be a success.
The faulty tower stood untouched for the next 6 years, occasionally oscillating in the wind, and as we see in this April 2000 report, sometimes more than others.
Here in Lloydminster, the forces of nature were particularly noticeable this morning as 3 of the 4 border markers started twisting. At around 9 this morning, gusts reached in excess of 80 kilometers an hour. The oscillating markers are a common sight when the winds reach that speed. As for the winds, they're expected to die down somewhat this evening. Vinesh Pratap, NewsHour.
In August of 2000, public concerns finally prompted the removal of one of the troublesome towers.
The cranes rolled in just after 8 this morning to embark in a task that has been in the planning for many months.
We've been looking at the border markers since fairly early in the year, and we could see things that were happening, so we got a little bit concerned with them.
The concern was mostly with border marker number 2, located on the north side of the road on Highway 16.
We started taking them apart, which was not an easy chore because of the precast concrete that had been put around the bottom. And once we did that, we could see that there was some deterioration in number 2. And it was to the point, because it affected the anchor bolts, that it had to come down in order to get repairs made.
Bringing the mammoth pole down proved challenging. Each marker weighs 28 tons, thus requiring an enormous crane. Another concern was diverting traffic on a busy Friday morning, and there is always the question of the 3 remaining border markers.
We've done inspections with them all. There's nothing really structurally wrong with the other 3.
These 3 do, however, need some work. There is some stress in the braces, but this can be fixed without a repeat of this morning's production. As for border marker number 2, the work has only just begun.
We'll have to do the repairs to the base and some repairs to the marker. And we're taking a look now at options that we would have for preventing them from twisting in the future.
This is all that is left after just under 5 hours of work. Now, border marker number 2 has been taken to the city yard for repairs to begin as soon as possible. The city does intend on putting the marker back up as soon as they can. Anne-Marie Blackburn, NewsHour.
When we return, the remaining pillars come down on the border markers, a retrospective.